Hey guys, welcome to Woodwork Life. Well, it's time I spill my dirty little secret. Well, I don't know how to say this, but I work in a basic ass 2-car garage like the rest of you guys. Maybe I have a few more tools than you, maybe I have a few less tools than you, but it's a 28 by 30 foot space. Maybe it's a little bit bigger, a little bit smaller than your shop or the space that you get to work, but it's just a basic garage. Anybody with the commitment and I guess a willing significant other can kind of take hold of this space and kind of turn into something where they can actually, build their dreams or whatever other stupid cliche you want to put into it. But I want to take this opportunity to kind of show you around my space at the end of 2017. It's grown a lot over this past year. It's going to grow a lot more in 2018. My tools are not really necessarily in their final spaces. I'm still trying to figure out how I want to utilize this space. And I've also got a lot of shop organizational projects and jigs and things like that to work on to kind of optimize my workflow around the shop. So if you're into shop organizational projects or shop projects, be sure you get subscribed because I've been building a lot of those in 2018. So without further ado, let's jump into this shop tour for 2017. Oh yeah, and be sure if you're entered into that 10,000 subscriber giveaway, hang out till the end. I'll be announcing the winner for that contest at the end of this video.
Chestnut roasting.
Merry Christmas, you filthy animal.
All right, so over here we have some shop cabinets. Well, really just kitchen cabinets I found in a dumpster. Up in this top cabinet, I've got just kind of products that I've got sitting waiting to be reviewed or stuff I want to use in projects or just some extra overflow camera gear. This is just kind of the catch-all cabinet that I don't want to get dusty. Over here, this is sort of my saw caddy per se. I've got the some Harbor Freight magnet strips, and then I've just got my saws stuck to that, and then just a couple screws in the cabinet doors for my coping saws. I keep a framing square over here, and then inside this cabinet, you'll see a lot of like marking gauges, and then I keep all my squares and measuring tapes. I keep my glue in here just so it stays a little bit warmer. This is just nice because it keeps all my measuring and marking stuff right in one space. Beneath that, well, above that, I've got just like gardening junk and fertilizer, insecticide, whatever. So that's just kind of house stuff, utility, whatever. Down here in the corner, I've got my sharpening station. This is, well, it was a desk that I found in the dumpster. I chopped the desk actually off because it was kind of useless. I've got it in the storage for extra material down the road, but I've got my sharpening station here. I've got my DMT diamond stones. And then I've got the Frankenstrop. You can check out my sharpening video. I'll link that up here so you can see how I use this. But this is a pretty cool little machine. It's just a Harbor Freight belt and disc sander that I modified, well, barely even modified. I drilled a hole in it and I threw some leather discs on it. But now I can just come over here anytime to just drop an edge on a chisel or just kind of hone something up if I need to do like some fine detail work. And then this is where I keep my screwdrivers, mallets. I love this thing. This is they call this, I guess, a paint can mallet, I've heard it called, but it's just like a 1-pound rubber mallet. This thing's awesome for chisel work because it's rubber, so it's non-mar, but it's 1.5 pounds, so you can just let the weight of the hammer do the work. These things are really cheap. This one's from Harbor Freight. Still smells like Chinese rubber, so that's cool. I've got this little kind of work in progress cart concept that's going to eventually turn into a tool cart. It's just an easy place to kind of bring chisels and some other tools. I haven't totally figured that out yet, so it's still kind of a beta concept. I'm not really sure. And then I've got, well, I move this out of the shot whenever I'm actually using it, but I've got this big trash can connected to a dust deputy and my shop vac, and that's what I use for dust collection while I'm sanding. So that's that. We'll take you over to see some more of the shop. So from there, we come over to sort of, I guess this is the intro shot to most of my videos. It's a brick wall. It's actually like 6 inches out of plumb over 6 feet. Not 6, like 4, but it's falling over. I mean, this shop, that will be the end of this shop unless I knock it over myself. I've got my hand plane tote over here. These are nice because I just kind of reach for them. There's some really nice ones and some, kind of really cool like antiques. This is a Sandusky from Ohio, number 7 that I really like. It's got awesome iron in it. This is kind of a cheapo Stanley number 5. This is a couple of Bedrock Stanleys from I think like the early mid 1800s. I'm not great at dating these things. I did a restoration video on those too though, so if you feel like dating those, I'll link to that video here. Here's the couple signs that I hand carved from a hard maple burl and from a piece of walnut crotch. Those are pretty fun. Here's my sort of shop aprons. I wear these less on camera and more just like when I'm getting messy or when I need to have a bunch of tools on me. This is my Atlas 46. Atlas 46 apron is by far my favorite. I'll link to that in the description. That thing's awesome. This is sort of my projects in queue or in process lumber storage. I'm actually lucky to have a separate building where I do most of my lumber storage. I've shown it in a couple shots and videos over the year, but this is where I keep the stuff I'm actually working on. So these are sweet gum pieces that are eventually going to be some benches with waterfall edges. Those go with the table that I just built in the last video. These are this is a walnut slab that's going to be turned into a pretty interesting desk. Stay tuned for that one. That's going to be really cool. If you liked the Epic PC build, this is going to be at least 50% epicer. So check that out. Epicer, is that a word? Anyway, that's going to be awesome. But this is where I keep all of the wood that's currently sort of in process. You can see this beam up here. This is a feeble attempt to try to stabilize this. So we put a 4x6 beam and we tied it into the structure. Then we sheathed all the walls to sort of bring all of the studs into one like unified piece. But this wall probably weighs, I don't know, 20 tons. I don't know, it's 3-course brick. It weighs a lot. It could pull the structure over pretty easily, even with all of the stud walls put together. This thing just wasn't built very well in the beginning. But that's enough about the structure. Let's keep checking out the shop. All right, and this next part of the shop is really one of my first big projects, but now that I've had it for about a year, I really want to do an upgrade for this. It's really versatile and really simple, this miter saw station, because you can literally put it on any flat surface. I've got a video and plans for this. I'll link to those here as well. But I think the storage solution for the way I have it built could really be better. I'm perfectly happy with the top. I mean, I could build up cabinets and really augment this, but the bench that it's actually on, the 2x4 basics bench, it's too open, collects too much dust. I want like drawers or cabinets or something that will protect some of my lesser used tools, stuff that I don't need like first order retrievability on. Over here, I've got my PPE station. I just kind of keep all my PPE gear available and multiple versions of it. So if I'm ever missing a piece, I can just grab a backup. I've just kind of accumulated these over the years. I also keep pencils and gloves and sort of push blocks, X-Acto knives or razor blades, just everything that you're gonna need like a quick when you first get into the shop. It keeps me from wasting a whole lot of time, you know, looking for that kind of stuff. I've also got this radial arm saw. I always wanted one of these because Norm Abrams had one on New Yankee Workshop, but I haven't really got it tuned up and set up, and I haven't found like a permanent home for it. I've just got to reach out to Emerson and get the blade guard for it. But anyways, it's there and I'll find a way to use it. And that's my story. I'm sticking to it. But I've got more of the shop to show you, so let's check out some more stuff. From there, we head over to this side of the shop, the garage door side of the shop. Here, I've got my dust collector. I've got the 2 horsepower Harbor Freight. Right now, I've just got it set up with soft tube. In 2018, I do plan on getting it like sort of hard set and having the tools actually into their stations and running overhead tube piping and everything. We'll see how that comes together. I've also got my planer on sort of a Stumpy Nubs 2x12 stand. It doesn't work great, but it keeps it up out of the way and makes it easier to use, less kind of strain on the back. I've also got a 6-inch Craftsman joiner. Both of these things I got on Craigslist. They're both god-awful, and I really need to upgrade them, but they get the job done. But this planer needs to be adjusted every time you use it to make sure that it actually makes a parallel surface. And this jointer, even fully tightened, this fence doesn't stay perfectly square. So that's kind of a pain in the butt, but I make it work. I just need to keep the tools around and get it calibrated every time. From there, we go to the heart of the workshop, the table saw. I've got a Ridgid 4512, I think it is. I did a video on setting that up. This needs a lot of love. It's a great saw, but I want to build a cabinet and I want to build a router outfeed table for, or a router extension table for it. I want to build an outfeed table for it because it is a great saw. It also has a riving knife, which is a lot safer. I'm not in love with the fence, but I can make it work. It's not the Biesmeyer like I had on the old Craftsman. Maybe I'll just go steal that from my brother and attach it to this thing. Who knows? Moving on from there, let's check out the clamp storage station. This is, well, he doesn't have a name because he's a focus dummy, but let's get him out of the shot. I'll show you guys a little bit of my production stuff at the end of the video. But, okay, this is my, I don't know, this is my clamp storage buffet. I've got some Bessie clamps, some Harbor Freight clamps, some DeWalt clamps, Irwin clamps, pipe clamps from Home Depot. I've also got in the drawers here, I've got Craig clamps from Aldi's. These things are actually awesome. They're like $8. I've got Rockler clamps. Down here at the bottom, I've got some longer Aldi clamps, some extra bars. And I've got all my my brooms, I guess you'll call this like my dust collection. Since I don't have everything hooked up to the system, I do still need to do some manual sweeping quite often, especially because I have this little lifesaver. I don't use this all the time, but when I do, man, does it save me some time. This is a 1632? Yeah, 1632 belt sander from Performax. It doesn't have the infeed and outfeed tables, so if any of you guys know where to get the infeed and outfeed tables for a Performax 1632 wide belt sander, I could really use those because it kind of limits the length of material I can use with this without some infeed outfeed rollers. But it works really great for small pieces and stuff like that. I've got my air conditioners because unfortunately this is Missouri where we get frigid cold winters and super hot summers. This does a decent job just sort of taking the hottest days down to a little more tolerable levels. I do plan on building a pretty cool storage solution for these clamps in the new year. So be sure you subscribe to check out that. That's going to be awesome. I think it is anyway. It might just be a nightmare, but it should be pretty cool. I'm going to try to, instead of having this whole buffet to store my clamps, I'm going to actually build a cabinet where I think I can fit all these clamps in like a 2-foot space of wall by maybe 2 feet deep. We'll see how that works out though, so stay tuned. I've also got really the only piece that's actually sort of thought out in this shop, which is the Ridgid tool cabinet. Let's check that out. All right, so this is really the only like thought out piece of shop furniture that I'm really happy with so far. This is something I put together really not too long ago. It's been maybe like a month and a half, but it's nice. It's nice to have all the tools only taking up like 4 feet of space on the wall when they're closed, and it's nice to have that full like 8-foot expanse when I need to grab what I need. The lighting is a nice sexy touch, and then it's nice having the charging station all right here too. I did a whole video on this, so if you like the way this thing turned out, check out that video. I'll link to that here. I've got this router table that I haven't really used for much yet. I'm not a huge fan of the router table. Probably just haven't had a nice one yet. Maybe I need to build a better router table this year, so I guess I'll have to design something for that. Right now it's mainly just used for finish storage. So I've got just like my stains and varnishes and pre-stains and everything in there. I've got some wrenches back there for, I never really use them. I think just everybody needs to have them in case you do need to use them. And then we're back to the front door, but before we finish up, let's go back to the real heart of the workshop over here at the workbench. So from here, this is my workbench. It's a Douglas fir 2x4 design, kind of a combination of a classic Roubeau style bench with the Roubeau joints. Very, very shoddily done, but it was just slapped together because I needed a workbench. And Paul Sellers design, because I did this all with hand tools. I really love this bench. It's a great beater bench. I don't really know that I ever want a show bench, but maybe someday I'll build something. I've always thought it would be nice to have like a really thick hardwood, like solid slab bench top. I know it would curl, but I don't really care that much. I just want to have a solid bench top. I think that'd be cool. But the right slab piece hasn't really struck me yet. I've got a, what is this, a Nicholson bench vise that I got off Craigslist. It's really old. It's real basic, but it gets the job done. Under here, I've actually got a super, super nice, what do they even call those? Not a jigsaw, but whatever. I've got one of those, I never use it. It's heavy, so I basically just use it as weight on the workbench. Keeps the surface a little more stabilized. Just recently, I got the new Festool Domino, the 500, and the Festool vac system, the dust extractor. They're super, super German. I'm learning a lot about those right now. I'm gonna be doing a hand tool shootout with those probably maybe later this month, but probably won't happen until January. But I'm gonna be comparing the Festool Domino with pocket holes, hand cut tenons, and biscuits. But we'll get more into that in the hand tool shootout. But that's just kind of something I'm thinking about and have been working with. But that's really the shop tour. I guess all that's really left is the black mirror that I look into to do my intros every time. I shoot the whole channel on a D5300, which you'll now be seeing iPhone footage of. I've got a Rode mic, the Rode mic, not Pro, the Rode mic Go, for doing all of the sort of ambient audio and tool audio and things like that. It really helps, believe it or not. It's a lot better than in-camera mic or any of the cheap mics. I added an Anker. It works out to be an 11,000 milliamp hour battery onto this camera rig from Neewer. You can grab that on Amazon. I'll throw the link down in the description, but it's just a universal camera rig. And then that's on top of a Magnum tripod, which is nice because you can set the level, and it's got not a fluid head, but it acts like a fluid head, so it's a little bit easier for some of like the glamour shots and getting like nice pans and tilts. Then of course a UV filter on the camera, because you always need a UV filter just to protect your camera glass from the dust that's in a workshop. Just a couple quick tips. I've got soft boxes all around the shop just to sort of get even lighting. There's like a little $110 kit on Amazon. I'll link that down below. But that's about enough of the shop tour. This is the shop tour for 2017. Make sure you stay tuned. Now we're gonna do the giveaway for the 10,000 subscriber 1-year anniversary contest that we've had going on that ends yesterday when you're watching this. All right, so it's Christmas Eve and all of the kids are nestled all snug in their beds while visions of sugar plums surely dance in their heads. But it's Christmas Eve and I have a contest that's ending tonight. So I guess you're watching this Christmas Day. So let me go ahead and announce the winners. I'll do it dramatically first. Okay, so the winners of the Aldi chisels, and I'll be emailing you too. So if you don't catch this in the video, I guess you're not watching right now anyway. Chad Reese, James Diaz, Bill Killian, and Fred Hazokos. I don't know if I pronounced that right. I'll be sending you an email. I'll be sending you some Aldi chisel sets. So look out for those. And then Chase Beezer, you're the winner of the RZ Mask and ISOTunes PPE, the All Black Everything PPE. So if you haven't watched that video yet, go check that out so you can get hyped about that. That was pretty cool. Walter Perez, second grand prize, the Atlas 46 tool vest, t-shirt, and hat. Be on the lookout for an email from me for that. And then finally, with a total of 1,114 entries for the main contest, entrant number 582 won. Hold the suspense. I'll put your name down in the top comment, or I'll flash it right here on the screen. Forgot to actually do that one before I came out here, but it's Christmas Eve and I'm going inside to enjoy Christmas Day. I hope you guys do the same. Merry Christmas, and remember, to keep your tools sharp and to keep your mind sharper. Have a good one, guys.
Chestnut roasting
And a Happy New Year.
like frost.